The attempted assassin, as he's believed to be, has been identified at Trump's golf course. This is where it occurred, as I've been telling you today, all of this developing as I'm making these segments. I do have video of the guy. We won't play a bunch of it, but I'll show some of that to you in just a second here. And deciphering his social media feed, starting to get an understanding of the background, the name being Ryan Wesley Routh. Media reporting the name of the suspect who law enforcement believes attempted to assassinate former President Donald Trump has been revealed. Before going further, just as a little explanation to catch you up if you missed some of the past coverage, Trump was golfing, was around hole 5, and just beyond where he was, we're still working with a number 400 to 500, I think it was yards away. You had a Secret Service agent reviewing the area that Trump was about to go into. He saw someone with an AK-47 and shot at the guy, meaning Secret Service shot at this Ryan Wesley Routh, and that prompted him to run away. He got an SUV, tried to escape, ended up being captured. He's now in custody. He left behind 2 backpacks, and notably a GoPro, and then his AK-47, and that's what we knew previously. Now you're up to speed. Trump was brought to safety, and everyone is okay. Like I said, the suspect is in custody. Law enforcement, media continues, has detained Ryan Wesley Routh in connection with the attempted assassination on the GOP nominee on Sunday afternoon at West Palm Beach, Florida. Pictures of the suspect's rifle popped up against a fence alongside a black backpack, and a GoPro attached to the wires was released by law enforcement. There you can see what was left behind: the gun, the 2 backpacks, and I guess that is the GoPro. To reiterate, the fire, or the noises of gunfire, the shots that were originally thought to be from the attempted assassin, from what I've deciphered from the information that's been revealed so far, it seems like this time, and this is a good thing, Secret Service stopped him from even getting a shot off at Trump. Now, as we go through, we will get to MAGA reactions that I take issue to. We'll get to people on the left and reactions that I want to take issue with. But first, in understanding the motive here, as we talked about a lot with the Thomas Crook shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania, the more we learned about his internet history, social media history, it didn't seem like he was really motivated by a strictly political anti-Trump ideology, which is why I would point out it's even more rational for some of the MAGA people to try to make this a point about how, see, this is all Democrats, it's the same Democrats who try to steal the election, what? But contrasted against that scenario where he was going after multiple high-profile people, it seemed, based on his internet history, here there is more of a political motivation, and there is more of an explicit anti-Trump angle to it. Here is the social media account believed to be associated with this guy. Trump, while you were my choice in 2016, so he did vote for Trump in 2016, it seems. And then he goes on to say, I hoped, and the world hoped, that President Trump would be better than the candidate. And then he calls him the R slur. And then you have this post just to see. Actually, I'll show you a Zateo reporter making a point about this. Nikki Haley, please join Vivek Ramaswamy as a team of president and vice president. We must do this now to create a winning ticket. This must have been during the primary. Now that we can all get behind, please do not be selfish or ignorant. Partner now to change the course of this election, break norms, and give us an option. And you have someone saying Ryan Ruth voted for Trump, donated Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, Tom Steyer, Beto O'Rourke, Elizabeth Warren, and then has tweets like this, yearning for a Nikki Haley Vivek Ramaswamy ticket, which is to say it's a bit hard to put him in a convenient little political box. Mehdi Hassan said, how about the nutcase box? If you haven't already and want to support us on our race to 1 million subscribers, you can do it by clicking that subscribe button below. Easy, free, simple, but makes all the difference. Back to the video. Which, before getting to this video of Ryan Routh, that's an important takeaway. It wouldn't make any sense to allow a lunatic to prevent us in future conversations from speaking accurately about what we're opposed to when it comes to Trump, right? Okay, that's obvious. But we should be very clear on denunciation, regardless of our political views towards Trump, and always take these moments as an opportunity to articulate when we say there's these threats against democracy. I need all of you to hear, not that for a lunatic's ears this would make much of a difference, but it's important to say we protect our democracy through democracy. Otherwise, we're contradicting the very principles that we're advocating on behalf of. Opposing political violence has to be across the board. Has to be in all these scenarios. And that is super, super important to emphasize, especially in moments when horrible things like this happen. Luckily, again, it was stopped and no one was harmed. But here's a little bit of this video.
Tell me who you are and why are you here?
56 from the U.S. From North Carolina originally, so I live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook, you know, any movie.
And this was him talking about, I guess he traveled to Ukraine, and his social media feed does seem like he was very active when it comes to Ukrainian issues. Now let's go through some reactions. I showed you Marjorie Taylor Greene pushing a conspiracy theory about this. I said, as I still believe, that's just not helpful at all. You do have those on the left, and I want to encourage you all not to react in this way. I also mentioned already that on Twitter at one point, staged was trending. When we criticize right-wing conspiracy theories, it's not just because they're right-wing, it's because we should oppose people without evidence claiming, especially very provocative things. So no on that. Let's go based on the facts. And also, Rachel Vindman said no ears were harmed. Carry on with your Sunday afternoon. Just not an appropriate response. Then getting to a MAGA guy, Michael Flynn, the shooter had to have known Trump was playing golf today, screams of another inside job. So this would be a pro-Trump conspiracy theory. Also not helpful, inappropriate, makes things worse. Alex Jones's response is this.
America is now in a state of war, not just with Russia, after Biden authorized NATO to start using U.S.-made heavy missiles to start bombing Russia next week. No, they just tried to kill Trump again. They had their cover story that it was gang crossfire, but Trump wasn't killed. But the media all put it out the second the news broke, even though the Secret Service and others were saying, no, the guy was shooting at Trump. They had to tackle him and return fire, and thank God he didn't kill him. That's twice this has happened. God's hand is on President Trump.
He's, by the way, from when this video came out, 5:01 p.m., he's listing off so many things that either aren't confirmed or are just completely inaccurate. I've heard no reports yet of the guy being tackled. He was shot at and then ran away.
Top Democrats have said they're not going to accept the Trump win. They're going to have civil war conditions. We're at war with the deep state. They're at war with us. They've dissolved our borders. They're destroying our dollar.
Yeah, so again, let me put it in other terms, okay? To try to explain this to MAGA as to why this rhetoric is so wrong. When the lunatic right-winger attacked Paul Pelosi, what did we talk about? We talked about how a lie, not an accurate statement about how it's bad to block the peaceful transfer of power, a lie about the election being stolen was cited by this guy who was trying to get a hold of Nancy Pelosi and ended up bashing in the head of Paul Pelosi, nearly killing him. And he was motivated by the election lies, thinking that Nancy Pelosi engaged in stealing the election in 2020. And he wanted to get her to admit to what she did. And then Trump, since then, has been mocking that. And so we took issue with correctly the lie and said, see, that's a dangerous lie, don't tell that. And the fact that the violence was mocked by a lot of people within MAGA, particularly in positions of power. Because you just saw there, people online, left, right, and center, are going to make vile statements about a lot of instances, and we should denounce those, but in our political discussion, most relevantly is people in positions of power. But then the Butler shooting happened, and we saw how people in positions of power on the Democratic side don't do that. They don't do what Trump did when it came to the Paul Pelosi attack. They fully unequivocally denounce and wanted answers and wanted justice. And so that was a big point we made. But think about if since that attack, we used it as justification to say, see, they have been trying to get Nancy Pelosi. They have been trying to do this. And you would be thinking, what it was that one guy. Now, again, it's not the perfect comparison because y'all actually did mock that attack, which is vile. And I'm talking about people's in position of power. But still, it wouldn't make a lot of logical sense to group it all into the same they. First, they voted against the Pelosi bill. Then they tried to attack or kill her husband. Is that the same they? And so hopefully that clarifies it a little bit as to the inaccuracy of describing everything with that big, wide they. And then on top of it, remember and watch, and then on my quote-unquote side, if we see any of our prominent leaders doing anything other than this, we should call them out for it. But most likely we won't have to because watch as powerful Democrats, I've already seen Biden Harris do this, completely and totally denounce it and oppose this sort of violence, and they won't make a single joke. But when Pelosi's attacked Trump 2 weekends ago was joking about it. A big difference. And then you dive into the internet and you see, as I just showed you an example of, that people who aren't in positions of power within either party are going to be saying all sorts of crazy stuff. But that's a big, big difference. And it's something I've been calling out for a while now. And so my request is MAGA, when it's a Democrat attacked, be better. And then powerful Democrats have correctly responded to when it's a Republican attack. But then non-powerful Democrats, if you're saying vile things or joking about the other way around, be better there too. And I told you about this, Marjorie Greene saying they want video of President Trump being... Who's they? One guy. Okay. President Trump being assassinated so bad that they would be assassin had... I did that again. That the would-be assassin had a GoPro to film it. And it goes on to say these are not lone wolves. There's a conspiracy to murder Trump. But we don't know that. The more you look at this guy's social media feed, you know when you can just read the way someone's speaking in sort of this fragmented, disjointed, frantic way. You can see that in his writing. As we didn't even need to see his social media feed to know this, given what he was attempting here, it seems. So we already knew he was deranged. But it's bolstered by the fact that the way he's thinking and explaining things is very, very disjointed and the sign of someone who clearly, we're now saying, is unwell. So to reiterate, regardless of your political views, this is worthy of denunciation. We're against political violence. We protect democracy through democracy. That's for our side. Then on MAGA side, don't exploit this to make this big claim about how we can't correctly oppose Trump's attempt to block the peaceful transfer of power, or say we don't like when he calls for the termination of the Constitution, or whenever he says the government should come down hard on media outlets. Those criticisms don't evaporate because of a deranged person's actions. And pushing conspiracy theories on both sides just makes things worse. As I saw last time, this is naive, but I wish we lived in a country where something like this could shake us into sort of wanting to unite around some of those fundamental constitutional principles and then go on to have political debates. But likely we're going to see the wild stuff we saw post the last assassination attempt. Glad everyone's okay.